Hello and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So I have here another pen for review, and as you can see here, this is a Bexley pen and it's powered by Carroll Shelby. So if we take a look at this box sleeve here, you'll see a lot of nice artwork, fine writing instruments made in the USA with some skid marks here, and if I rotate it here, you'll see, hello friend, please visit thepenfamily.com and register your new pen to activate the warranty. Carroll Shelby approved here. So, fine writing instruments made in the USA. And this is the pen. So, this is a themed pen. So, this is designed around Shelby or Carroll Shelby. So, let's take a look at this pen. Let's unbox this. And you will see here you get this leatherette box and quite a nice sort of coloured box here. You do get, it's a two-tone colour box, so you get a lighter orange sort of tan there and then more of a darker red, and you can see here that it's actually sort of triangular in the way that it opens. So if I open this up, you will see a number of things. So the first thing is you see this, the Bexley pen USA.com. You'll see a Bexley card to activate your warranty, which isn't filled out, and then you'll get a bookmark of sorts. So Bexley Fine USA Writing Instruments, powered by Carroll Shelby, and then you see here it says Fine American-made writing instruments. So I'll put that back there, and then you get this little plush here, which is got the Bexley logo on it. I thought this was a pen sleeve to start with, but it's not. It's just as is. And then we have the pen here sitting on its bed, and this is, as you can see here, there is a tassel which says B for Bexley, of course. I'll just remove that. And then you have the pen. And I have to say, this is actually very nicely designed. This is a Shelby pen, and you can see Shelby's AC Cobra there. So let me just detail a little bit if you don't know about Carroll Shelby. So Carroll Shelby was an American car designer, racing designer, and entrepreneur. Shelby had a good racing career and raced at Aintree, Le Mans, Silverstone and Monza, and set 17 new records on his own. Shelby was severely injured in a crash while racing in Healy in the Carrera Panamericana, and underwent 8 months of operations and continued to drive in 1955, winning 10 races. He then decided to take his hand to designing performance cars. Shelby was best known for his involvement with the AC Cobra and Mustang, later known as the Shelby Mustangs, for the Ford Motor Company, which he modified during the late 1960s and early 2000s. So you can kind of see where this pen gets its design from. So you can see here you've got the Bexley AC Cobra or Cobra sort of logo there, and it says Shelby. You have here his signature as well, Carroll Shelby. And you have a two sort of style sort of design here etched into that sort of clip ring. And then you have the clip. And the clip is quite functional. It's a little bit stiff. And you can see here these circle emblems and the word USA there. And then you can see the checkered flags around this cap ring, and it says Carroll Shelby number 28. And this material is a really, really nice material. It's what's Bexley are casting a Shelby blue resin, and it's made exclusively for Bexley. So the pen comes in rhodium trims with distinct Shelby emblems. It has the signature Cobra engraving here and also on the nib. and it has a captured converting filling system. So if we have a look at here, I will uncap the pen, and this is the nib, and you can see there it has a really lovely Cobra on that nib, and this is an 18 karat gold 750 nib there, and you can see here it has an ebonite feed, and you can see the profile of that feed is quite shallow. This material though is quite nice. It reminds me a lot of an ebonite, but this is a resin, and you can see that it does have some glitter going on in the body there. Now if I unscrew the body, you do have this captured converter, and it does say here powered by Shelby. And if I turn this knob, you'll see the converter going down. Now they say it's a captured converter, and the reason why it's a captured converter is that you cannot actually remove this from the section, so it is actually integrated within the pen, hence captured converter. Now if I screw this back on again, there's a lot of threads there, metal on metal. You cannot unscrew the blind cap here, but you do have again that pattern going on there. But this material though is really quite nice. Now you do, if you look at this here, you do have a very narrow section tapered in here to a grip point. You have a couple of rings here, rhodium trim, and also another ring here. And then you have the threads. Now the threads are actually very shallow, they're not sharp. You do have a slight step up, but it's actually rounded off, so you don't actually feel it like you would on a lot of pens. Now this for me is a smaller pen, that I tend to typically like larger pens. So in my hand you can see it here if I grip it on the section. Now can I post the cap? You can post the cap. It doesn't post deeply, but you can post it. It does feel a little bit graty because you have those threads there in the cap, and they are sort of scratching, I think, on that rim, and I can feel and hear that there. So I honestly would not want to post that cap. I would be worrying that these threads inside the cap are plastic, so plastic or metal is not normally a good idea. So I wouldn't post it, but I don't normally post my caps, so for me that wouldn't be an issue. But I know for anybody that does post their caps, that might be something that you want to think about before you purchase this pen. Now the pen itself is actually very comfortable. I really do like the size, I like the weight. The section is a little bit thinner than I normally like personally, and that's my own personal taste. But if I put the cap back on, I do like the size of this pen. It really is quite nice. And this material actually it reminds me of a lot of ebonite material, which ebonite is hard rubber or vulcanized rubber. And you tend to get some of these patterns in ebonite a lot. But it's not ebonite, it is resin. And you can see that there because you will see some glitter within that body, some sort of shiny parts, especially sort of here on that body here. You can just see those on that darkened area. So for me, this is actually quite a nice pen. I do like the look of it. I do like the size of it. For me, I would probably want to hold it up a little bit higher because I don't like thinner sections, but that's just me. I find that if I'm trying to hold or grip a thinner section, I grip it more harder because I feel as though I'm going to lose control of the pen. And I know a lot of people don't like thicker sections because of that same reason. But for me, I just find that I would prefer to have it a slightly wider section. But a lot of people do like a thinner section, so I think a lot of people will like this. I typically would hold this up a little bit more on the threads here. Now I can't feel these threads, so that wouldn't bother me too much. It does make the pen a little bit shorter in my hand, but I can still write with it. That's not a problem. So I think with that, let's do a size check. We'll do a weight check. We'll do a pen comparison, and then we'll do a writing sample. So the full length of the pen, we are looking at 141 millimeters in length. The length of the cap, we're looking at 64 millimeters in length. So it's not a bad length cap. But when we uncap the cap and look at the body is a little bit shorter. So we are looking at about 126 millimeters in length. So it's not quite, in terms of length, an oversized pen, but it does still fit in my hand quite nicely. So the full weight of the pen, we are looking at just over 44 grams in weight. Now this is uninked. The weight of the cap, we are looking at just over 14 grams in weight. And then the weight of the body, uninked, we are looking at just under 28 grams in weight. So weight-wise, actually, it's a little bit more on, I'd say, the heavier side, but it's not a very heavy pen. But this design, though, I have to say, I do like this resin material. I do like the glitter in it, and I do like the design. It's, for me, a very nice looking pen. So I think with that, let's do a pen comparison. So from left to right, we have a Visconti Homo Sapiens London Fog, a Montegrappa Extra 1930 Shiny Lines Dove, a Visconti Watermark, an Omas Milord in the Wild, an Omas Arte Italiana Paragon Grande, a Bexley Carroll Shelby, an Armando Simone Club Bologna Extra Arco Brown, an Armando Simone Club Bologna Extra Arco Verde, a Visconti St. Basil, and we have a Visconti Opera Master Luna. So let's go and do a writing sample. So this is a Bexley, and it is EY. I just want to double check that. And this is the Bexley Shelby. Now, this is really a pen family pen, and like the Armando Simone Club and like the Wild Ever Sharps, there's no nib designation in terms of width. I would say that most of the time these are supposed to be medium nibs, but it tends to write, I would say, more like a broad, which is fine. It just writes very wet and a little bit wide, but that's fine. That's what I like in a pen. It's an 18 cat gold nib. Now, I would say that this nib is very smooth, and I like it. That is writing really nicely. It's gliding across the page very nicely. Now, the ink in here today is Lamy Blue. Now, in terms of line variation, I said probably a medium, and I guess without any pressure whatsoever, it's probably a more closer to a medium line that it's putting down. If I apply more pressure, you can get more line variation out of this pen. But this pen writes very smooth. It feels like this pen has been tuned. There's no hard starts or skips. It just feels like it's been tuned very, very well. Now, in terms of ink wetness, let's have a look. I can tell this is going to be wet already, because you can see here that is even smudging. Yeah, this is a very wet writing nib, and that's how I like my pens. I do like my pens writing very wet. Now, this is a limited edition pens of 427, and I think they came to that number because of Carroll Shelby's 427 Cobra. So 427 pens for the 427 Cobra. So this is a nice pen. It has an 18 karat gold white nib, or rhodium plated sort of coloured nib. It has the signature Cobra on the nib. It is a captured converter filling system, and that shouldn't be a problem. Typically, I very rarely have converters sort of fail, and for me, I wouldn't. It's very rare for. I'm trying to think. I may have had one converter fail on me over time, so I don't think having a capture converter is an issue. It does mean that probably fills a little bit more than a standard international converter, which would be around 0.7 milliliters of ink. So I think this one will fill a little bit more than that. I like a lot of the parts on this pen that are really showing about Carroll Shelby. It just speaks out that this is more of a memorabilia pen, and that is fine. I don't have any issue with that. I think it's a nice pen, and it fits in my hand very nicely. I think if I were to design a pen, I would probably make it a little bit longer. Maybe make that section a little bit wider. That's my own personal preference. Now, this pen is on loan to me from John at stjohnspens.com. I'd like to thank John for the loan of this pen for review. You can check John out at St John's Pens on Instagram or at stjohnspens.com. John does go to all of the UK pen shows and a lot of the European pen shows. Unfortunately, because of the coronavirus outbreak in 2020 and into 2021, obviously a lot of our pen shows have not been able to take place. However, when they do start back up, John will be at many of those pen shows. So if you can't check him out at a pen show, then do check him out at St John's Pens on Instagram or at stjohnspens.com. So this is my review of the Bexley Shelby fountain pen. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye bye.